This is Wandering Universe. Today, I'll be exploring a new topic that you've probably heard of 1,000 times before online and other places of interest such as the planetarium, the Belt of Orion. So, sit back, relax, and let gravity do the work. We're going to explore space, the new frontier. Let's go. Here we are. We're out in space. Nice. Now, as you can see, without the lines joining the dots, that is the Belt of Orion in space. Naked in space. Next one. This is another depiction. Very dusty indeed. Looks like dirt flowing out of a vacuum cleaner, but it's not. It's just some sort of mineral dust cloud floating in space. Apparently, I'm not sure if this is true or not. Please let me know in the comments section. That space smells like burnt barbecue, like you're cooking a steak and you see charcoal on the surface of the steak, and when you smell it before you take a bite of it, it smells like burnt meat. So I'm not sure if that's true, but please let me know in the comments section. Look, I'm completely aware you've explored this part of the galaxy 1,000 times and been bombarded with facts and figures on the Belt of Orion. And I'm also aware you don't wish for me to narrate this topic, hammering repetitive information you've already known 1,000 times before. So I get you. But this is my first space exploration. So what's the drama? As you all well know, the Belt of Orion is also called Orion's Belt. Orion represents the Greek god Hunter in the night sky. This is seen horizontal version. There are other versions that you see vertical, but this one apparently in night sky, you see it in this form. Let me go on. It consists of 3 massive stars that are named in Arabic. I'll pronounce them, so please don't throw a tangent on it. I'll do my best to pronounce these words correctly. Al-Nitak, which is the girdle, which is right here, starts from here. Al-Nilnam, the string of pearls, and Mintaka, the belt. So as you can see, these are the stars, and that's the string that joins them together, like joining dots on a piece of paper. They are mainly just dusty clusters that travel through our Milky Way. Nice colour, by the way. That's a nice rosy red there, nice cherry red, floating out in space. That's really nice. I've always wanted to know what's contained within that dusty cloud in space, what it smells like, what it tastes like, what it feels like. Does it mimic the clouds we see in the sky during the day? I'm not sure. I mean, is there thunderstorm activity within these dusty clusters? I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out if we ever get a chance to explore that part of space. That I'd like to know. Anyway, let me go on. Al-Nintak and Al-Ninlam are both blue supergiants, as you can see. Al-Nintak is 726 light years from Earth, and Al-Ninlam is 1,340 light years from Earth. Mintak is, or should I say Mintaka, is 916 light years from Earth, and it mainly comprises of a multiple star system, as you can see in this photo. The first 2 stars mainly orbit each other every 5.75 days, and the system at times develops an eclipsing binary. Now, Al-Nintak, this gets interesting, orbits the main cluster every 1,500 years. Does this number sound familiar that it correlates with the Mayan calendar? If so, I'd say the Mayans were very thorough in their study of this particular cluster, don't you think? If you live in the northern hemisphere, it appears more visible in night skies from November to February. So if you want to travel up to North America, so you want to go to Alaska, and if you're a bit more adventurous and you're willing to take a risk and you're going to dare yourself, play a dare with a friend or two, you might want to go to Greenland and you want to go to the northern part of the country and actually see the Belt of Orion at its brightest, at all its glory in the night sky. And you also see the Belt of Orion as well. I'm not sure if they come about at the same time, but I think they do. But apparently, I've seen from photos and people coming back from the trip, they said that it's actually quite beautiful when it appears at that time of year. Orion's Belt shares an association with mythology from Greek, Babylonians to Norse to Egyptian, right down to Chinese cultures. And let me show you one of them. This one is, the Scandinavians call it Friggarok or Frigg's distaff, as you can see. So they have a different visual perception of the Greek hunter god for some reason. Next one, I'll just say the Spanish call it Las Tres Marias or the Three Marys. I couldn't find a visual depiction of the Three Marys. Unfortunately, online, I just couldn't find it. If anybody can find which version of the Orion's Belt, please just leave a link in the comments section. Otherwise, this is the Italian version. This was painted by Giovanni Antonio da Varis in 1575. It's called Orion. And I find this really interesting here. As you can see, what stands out, apart from everything else that surrounds it, is his naked bottom. Ooh, okay. I don't know why his bottom is naked in the night sky, but maybe it's purposely there for something a bit more kinky. Who knows? And the next one is, the Chinese call it the weighing beam. And this is a painting that depicts the Orion Belt with the three gods. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they're called Shen. Maybe that's one of them. I'm not sure. But this is their version of the Orion's Belt. But what I find interesting is the Polynesian people. Yes, I'm not leaving them out just yet. Particularly the Maori people from New Zealand, who refer to the belt as Tautoru, meaning string of three. The constellation is Te Waka Orangi, the canoe Orangi, and the Pleiades that is known to them as Matariki. I'll show you how they see it. What's interesting about this illustration is this is how they map out their voyage by navigating their way from mapping out where the Belt of Orion is and other planetary stars in the night sky. So when they're planning their journey, this is the main thing they look at, the first thing they look at. Then they look at other constellations within the galaxy, and then they can do their homework, map out their voyage before they actually journey along the ocean for days on end. But they're very meticulous, these people, how they manage to read the stars in the night sky and know exactly where north, south, east and west is. And they'll also use their bodies as a compass to navigate exactly where north, south, east and west is. That's how they found their island home, as they call it. So I find it fascinating, actually. I'd like to one day, if you're ever interested, please learn about the star map system. If you ever come across someone in New Zealand or in Polynesia or in Hawaii who has a deep and thorough understanding of the star map system, and apparently there's only a few of them on this planet, they know exactly what they're talking about, please go and learn from them. Even if it takes you a few months or just a week, just to get the basic knowledge on how it actually works. But I just find it really fascinating how they used this map to navigate their way across the seas. Really, really fascinating. So please, if you're interested, go ahead. Go on an adventure on a seafaring voyage. In Greek mythology, the mythical hunter, Orion has two smaller stars called Canis Major and Minor. They are depicted as the hunter's dogs, as you can see here. So this says Procyon. There's a star right here in Canis Minor, so that shows the shape of a dog. This one is Canis Major, and it's interesting, Sirius is located here, showing the shape of a dog. This one is Lepus, showing the shape of a hare. And of course, Orion, the hunter, all he cares about is looking for his next meal forevermore for some strange reason. But as you can see, that's how they imagined their god in the heavens to look like, just by connecting the dots in the night sky. So quite a vivid imagination, may I say, the Greeks had. There is also another star in the constellation called Scorpius. The story goes that Scorpius killed Orion and was placed in the opposite end of the sky, so they are never above the horizon at the same time. Now that's one story. There is another interpretation of this Greek mythology, and it goes something like this. Okay, so you ready with your bowl of popcorn? Okay, allow me to narrate. Orion, the hunter, was a handsome devil with brawn and not much else. He was the son of Poseidon and Euryale, and apparently, I'm not sure if this is factual, he can walk on water. Does that sound like a reference to Jesus there? I'm not sure if there's a bit of plagiarism going on there, but maybe the Greeks got it first. One night, after drinking a little wee too much, he made a pass at Merope, daughter of King Onipion. Well, her father instinctively did what he needed to do, protect his daughter from being physically assaulted. Consequently, Orion got blinded by him and threw him out of his paradise island he called home. Somehow, through sheer fearlessness, Orion reached the island of Lemos. He was then helped by Sidious and his servant Sidalion to head east and met up with the sun god Helios. Miraculously, by the wave of its magic wand, gave his sight back. Then he travelled to Crete and hunted with Artemis and her mother Leto. You'd think he'd finally learnt his punishment. But no. Instead, he wanted to go out on a whim, right? He had to have some fun, have a few beers, have a few laughs. Obviously, his ego clouded his judgment and began to get the better of him. To prove his top dog status of ego supremacy, the idea of a hunt tickled his feel-good buzz and declared he would kill every animal in the world. Jeez. Gaia, goddess of Earth, was totally pissed off with his ego rant and sent Scorpius to do him in. Yes, as news travelled fast, Artemis and Leto were asked to banish Orion to the skies, and Zeus did the honours by making Orion into the constellation along with Scorpius, the assassin, forever chasing Orion as a form of eternal punishment. Okay, so this is one depiction you'll see in the night sky, and this is another one. Okay, yes, enemies of the state forevermore. What a lovely end to a grim fairy tale. I mean, come on, Orion. If he had half a brain, why couldn't he just approach her and just say, would you like a cup of coffee? Would you like to have a beer? A bite to eat? I'll take you out for dinner. My treat. Something like that. Be nice. Be polite when you're asking someone on a date. Not just say, yeah, I'm getting a boner here. I might as well go up to a woman and, make a pass for her so I can get my fix. I mean, geez, Orion. You really have done yourself in, haven't you? Anyway, let's go on. If you have a look at the constellation, it looks like an hourglass. I'll just show you here. Yeah, this is what I mean here. Betelgeuse and Bellatrix are the hunter's shoulders, and Saiph and Rigel are the hunter's feet, as you can see right here. There is a diagonal line below the belt known as Orion's Sword. To the east, the line of Orion's Belt points towards Sirius, Canis Major constellation. To the west, 3 stars point directly to Aldebaran, Taurus constellation, and that one is that particular star is a red giant. The famous Pleiades and Hyades star clusters. If you're interested in photography, or you do this as a hobby in your own time, you may want to have your camera and a tripod, go out on a clear night. No clouds, no wind, no rain. Clear, beautiful night. Summer night is pretty good. It's not too bad actually, but if you do it on a winter night, it's even better. Less daylight hours, but you get to see more of the stars out in our galaxy. So what you do, you plant a tripod, you tilt the camera lens up towards the sky, and then what you do, you open up the aperture and just let it sit there for 30 minutes. Don't close it, let it sit there for 30 minutes. So turn the camera on, and then what it'll do if you put it on high speed, it'll just absorb every star movement in the sky. And what you get after you finish processing the picture, this is what you're going to see. This is what the camera sees. And I'll tell you this, stars move fast in the night sky, but our eyes can't recognize their incongruity. As you well know, or you stargazers out there, we see them as motionless stars. But the fact is they are moving through space at an exponential rate, but the 3 stars in the belt share the same proper motion. They travel together and are never separate. Now this part, to me, of the exploration is what I find incredibly puzzling, but curiously alluring at the same time. The pyramids of Giza. The 3 pyramids on the Giza Plateau simulate the alignment of the 3 belt stars, and the air shafts inside the pyramids point directly toward Orion constellation. I've illustrated this diagram in my previous videos, mainly about Khufu and Khafre. So if you've got a bit of time to spare, please go ahead and watch my previous videos. You'll see this diagram there. But what I see is, for some reason, I don't know why historians and archaeologists and academics make such a big fuss about it, but for some reason, I don't know, it's because when they're doing stargazing, they see this as this glorified magnificence of a star that's so bright it just twinkles in its eye. Sirius. I don't know what is the fascination about that star. Could it be that there is a solar system circulating around that big star? Now, they said it's a blue giant, but could it be there's other solar systems traveling around or further away from the blue giant? I don't know. But for some reason, this pyramid, this shaft, points directly towards it. Could it be that this pyramid, and I'm going to give you a hint, is used as a communication building, communication station, and one of the shafts needs to point directly to Sirius because there's a planet within that particular solar system navigating around Sirius that is their home? Could it be that? I would say the same thing with the Orion Belt. This Anitak, right? It could be the same with Beta Ura Minor and Alpha Draconius. It could be the same thing. So that's what I find very fascinating about these pyramids. Could it be that they built them as a communication station in order to contact home? Like dialing up on a telephone, right? And saying, hello, how you going? Or sending a telegram, okay? Or sending an email, right? Something like that. But I really find it absolutely fascinating. I'm going to explore this even further in future videos. They are believed to be there to project the king's soul towards Orion, so to speak. Even though it's just an assumed theory, the correspondence between the stars and the pyramids is truly remarkable. Osiris and Isis represent Sirius in Egyptian mythology. They believed the gods descended from Sirius as I explained earlier, and the Belt of Orion, and begun the human race. Before I show you my final photo, could it be, and this is the mythical side of the story, could it be that these ancient beings are similar to the cuttlefish? Have you ever seen a cuttlefish mimic a pattern on a floor or on a wall or an object? It's really fascinating to watch the experiment. If you just go online, have a look at a few videos on experiments with the cuttlefish. All they do is the cuttlefish comes in and it sees, say, a chessboard, or there's a checker pattern board on a tiled floor, and it does its best to mimic it. It really does. It's absolutely amazing. In reference to that, could it be that these beings actually morph themselves to a pattern or an object, so it makes us feel a little bit more comfortable when it comes to communicating with them, when it comes to actually being in their presence? That's interesting. I'm going to find that out more as I explore further into the Egyptian mythology of that story, but I find it really fascinating. And this photo was not photoshopped. What you see is what you get. This is my first exploration on the new frontier, space. Although it's been said at the beginning of every Star Trek episode as the final frontier, I know, don't translate that sentence as the end of the world as we know it for humanity itself. For me, these are exciting times, priding my sense of adventure without being afraid, taking that risk to go out and explore the unknown. Over time, I'll be diving further, exploring this particular fascinating constellation and other parts of our galaxy, plus why us humans have had a stronghold on stargazing, a satiable curiosity to find out what's out there stuff, and to answer the most important question that clears the fog of doubt and fear. Are we alone? That's all for now.